Hey, this is Tiqqle, and in this video we're going over an awesome build for solo queue for Elemental Shaman. I'll explain why, but I want to give a big shout out to Abstracting Agent, who is the one that showed me this build and fine-tuned it for the likes of you. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump right into it, and I'm going to show you the burst combo that you can rinse and repeat with literally zero setup. One of the biggest complaints and challenges Elemental Shaman have, especially in solo queue, is that you're going into games where you're facing two melee. You're going to get trained by the DHDK combo, and particularly in pre-patch, it's brutal. It's very hard. A lot of people could get discouraged very easily, but what I'll show you is how you can do a very easy burst with minimal ramp up, aka flame shocks, which you should be doing on cooldown anyway. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I'll have this link down below. Again, big shout out to Abstracting Agent. Thank you for this. This is the build. We're going to talk about it. But I'm going to go, and I'll go over kind of the highlights, because obviously I'll give it to you, you're going to plug it in, you're just going to go use it, and you're going to start hitting stuff. So I don't need to explain too much. And like a lot of times, I would say this is pre-patch. Remember, things are not what they seem. Certain classes are super strong right now. Frost DKs, DHs, and in beta, you know, we're seeing them, but I don't know if they're still as insane then. You're going to get, you know, pre-patch has covenants. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for the sake of the class. So make sure you do it based off feeling right now, even though we kind of know where the damage is landing in beta. But I'm not going to get into that. We're talking pre-patch, solo queue, what am I rocking? And this is the build that I would say has the least amount of setup, is the easiest to pick up. And I'll be honest with you, meatballs are flying and they're hitting extremely hard. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to start talking about it. I've now shown it to you. You've looked over it with your eyeballs. Let's go ahead. I'm going to start in the Shaman tree. Shaman things, you know, Lavaverse. I'm going Earth Ele, I'm going Earth Shield, and I'm going double Earth Shield. I'm going Elemental Orbit. Now, if you read this, it says increases the number of Earth Shields you can have active on yourself by 1. You can also have Earth Shield on yourself and 1 ally at the same time. I didn't know that there was a second part to this talent. Thank you to the chat. This means I can put Earth Shield on 2 targets. Myself and someone else on my team, probably potentially the squishiest person or the healer. And then I can also have, if it's a melee team, Lightning Shield on. Lightning Shield allows me to generate Maelstrom passively, as you can see in the top right, 100% chance to generate 5 Maelstrom. One of the great things for Elemental Shaman in Dragonflight, I gotta get used to saying Dragonflight, is that you have a lot of ways to generate Maelstrom now. One way is Lightning Shield. Another way is this talent here we'll talk about, which every purge that I do. You know, every hex that I do, every shear that I do, it's all rewarding, and that's a great talent. As well as some passive generation down below, but we're not going to get into that. So I'm going Earth Ele, used as a defensive, Earth Shield, double Earth Shield, and I can put Lightning Shield on myself. I'm going Spirit Walker's Grace to be able to run and cast. Really helps me get off hexes, etc. I'm going increased Fire Frost damage, not surprising. Tremor Totem, a no-brainer, very important, especially against most classes with fear. Now, I will say this is cookie cutter. You can min-max some things here when you solo queue and you start running into different classes. I recommend, you know, get your baseline locked in, though. Make sure you know what your baseline is, because I don't want to be switching it every round in between to min-max optimal. It's like almost too much. You almost want to make it work for you in general. And then if you really have certain things to change, like, for example, if I go against no caster or nothing that can be grounded, I wouldn't take Grounding Totem. But anyway, I take Root. This is a new addition in Dragonflight. It places a Root down. You probably have seen it before. It used to only be available to our Shamans in the last 2 expansions. This is huge. Great way to kite. Great way to slow people down. If they chase you, you bring them behind a pillar, you root them in place, you get out of there, and you laugh all the way to the bank, and hopefully you don't die later. Yep, I'm going Nature's Guardian for self-healing if I get low. Improved Lightning Bolt, big deal. Thunderstorm, big deal. Lightning Lasso, big deal. It is switched from being a PvP talent to the tree. It's great. I also am taking the decreased cooldown on Astral Shift. Unfortunately, it brings us back to where we were in Shadowlands, but it does extend it by 4 seconds. Now I get Frost Shock, hugely important in Arena, slowing people down for positioning. Purge, always a killer. And again, it works really well with Inundate. Hex and short hex. This is actually really important. I didn't think of this, and I didn't think of this at the beginning, but an LA Shaman can be quite disruptive when your hex is on a 15-second cooldown. This means that you can basically hex, let's say you're against a double melee team, and they're training your teammate. You can cast hex on one of them, it lasts the full duration. And then you can switch it to the other one. You have a lot of options here, especially when you start to combo that with Hex Lasso combo. If you don't know about that, you know, maybe I could have a different video on that. That's a typical, very special, not special, but it's a double CC combo that Ele Shamans bring to the table that's super strong and can stop some of these huge pressure, pop all your cooldowns, pop the trinkets, do everything, blast him. You can stop that with some of the Hex combo. So I think Voodoo Mastery is actually pretty awesome, and you can control the game. You can slow down the game a little bit, and then you can rinse and repeat the burst, which we'll get into very soon. Now, I could go Focus Insights. I'm not. I could go Elemental Wording. I'm not. These are things that I would say I will probably be going when I get 5 more points. Potentially Nature Swiftness for more stats. Potentially decreasing cooldown reduction of totems. There's some other things we could be getting, but basically I'm going straight down for that gust of wind. That is just a beautiful thing. I love it. I use it so often to chase more than run away. Chasing is the best with this. It feels so good. Now, also doing this, which is giving me 8% max life. I'm pretty sure this works in PvP. It wasn't for a little bit, but I believe it is. Now, that's the Shaman tree. Mostly utility, mostly that stuff. The biggest callouts, again, fast Hex, root, multiple shields, increase your damage where you can, get that lasso, that knockback, and get it done. Now, the elemental points, here's where some of the interesting stuff is. Number one, you know, all boring stuff up here. It's all the usual stuff. I am going Fire Ele. I would just say that Storm Ele is doing some good damage. With Primal Elementals, I have seen it do good damage, so don't count it out. But for this, Fire Ele is the play because you're a meatball machine gun. Now, Inundate, again, Purge is huge, Hex is huge, Wind Shear is huge, generates Maelstrom. You can get all that stuff going, and especially Wind Shear. Wind Shear's off GCD. You know, you can proc that as you're doing other things. You can actually generate Maelstrom very quickly, and using that on cooldown is a great way to generate. I'm using basically the Cleanse, Shear, everything, Wall, and Ghost Will for mobility. But you could go this, but I think this is probably more aggressive and where I want to be. This is a great talent for reducing damage taken. Again, you're going to get trained. This is the thing. Solo queue is random, whoever you're going to get. Well, guess what? I would put all my money on you're going to have more games with double melee, especially under 2K than anything else. Now, I'm not going to explain every single ability here. I'm just going to tell you what I'm not taking. I'm not taking Stormkeeper. It makes me sad. Stormkeeper has huge potential burst, especially with the new and improved Surge of Power. Surge of Power, people are sleeping on this. This has been reworked specifically for Lightning Bolt. Your next Lightning Bolt here says Earthshock, Ele Blast, Earthquake, enhance your next spell for 15 seconds. Lightning Bolt says your next cast will cause an additional 2 elemental overloads. 100% chance on that one. And then you can get some other amps to increase your overloading damage in this middle lane. But we're not doing that now. We're in pre-patch. We're short on points. We got to be stingy. So what are we spending it on? You might be surprised to hear we're not going in Lightning Bolt anything. We're going into 2 things. One, on the right side, easy to understand. We're increasing our damage of Lava Burst. So plus 10% Lava Burst damage, plus the proc rates, etc., and cooldown reduction. So we get Flame Shocks out. Make sure to use them on cooldown. You got improved Flame Tongue, 5% increased damage. And then you have this, which is honestly nice for Earth Shocks and Frost Shocks. But maybe those points could be repurposed. But anyway, that's increasing your Lava Burst damage. This build's about Lava Burst. Okay? It's also worth noting that I'm using the Dre, the Deeply Rooted Elements Legendary. In the new expansion, my first talent after this will be picking up Dre from here. DRE. From this, because that proc is awesome. And getting Lava Burst, just chucking him, and proccing this has a huge potential. And every time it procs, every time your Lava Bursts go off, it should be reducing the cooldown of Primordial Wave. So that's what I would be going, but I have the Legendary on, so it's actually like my bonus point here. I'm also not going Earthshock, which makes me sad, but this build, again, is not about Earthshock. So it's all about that Lava Burst. Now, on the left side, I am going Ice Fury. Ice Fury, why? For Ice Fury? Actually, no, not. It's for this. I'm going Flux Melting. This is casting Frost Shock increases the damage of your next Lava Burst by 20%. That's big. Now, let me just say this. It's not just the Frost Shocks that are after Ice Fury. If I don't cast Ice Fury and I press Frost Shock, it still gives me the buff. And yes, I made a weak aura for it. So that still gives me the buff even without Ice Fury. And then I have, decreased cost of Earth Shock just because. And then I have Primordial Wave, and this is where it is key. Primordial Wave, Rolling Magma, which is Lava Burst. This is new. Lava Burst and Lava Burst Overload damage reduces the cooldown on Primordial Wave. Very important. And then this Primordial Surge. Casting Primordial Wave triggers Lava Surge immediately and every 3 seconds for 12 seconds. So you get, 5 procs on that. Lava Surge is triggered by Primordial Wave. Increase the damage of your next Lava Burst by 25%. There it is. 25% from here. You go ahead and you get 20% from here. You're getting 5% increased fire damage over here. You're getting 10% up here. You're also over here getting 3% over here. Yeah, now you're starting to see the multipliers. And guess what? The PvP talents you're taking, Sky Fury, another 20%. Compound interest, Warren Buffett style. Now you got control of lava, increasing the proc rate, grounding totem. These are all baseline. Again, you're going against double melee. You could swap this potentially to static field if you want to be annoying. But pretty much this is what you're at. So that's the build. That's why I do it. And that's why Abstracting created it. Again, shout out to him. You can see it. Abstraction build down here. Oh, you can't see that part, but down here in the bottom left, I named it after him. So now the question is, all right, Tiqqle, I get what the build is. Now tell me how to make it work for me. Well, let's go ahead. And just get it started. Number one, when you get into that arena, you got to make sure you do a few things. Make sure you put on that lightning shield. Oh, hold on. Okay, I am Alliance, I know. Okay, put on lightning shield. Put on earth shield. Then go ahead and target your closest friend and put it on him too. Now I got earth shield on me, earth shield on him. He should be thanking me, probably paying me. But that's the deal. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'll switch this trinket over actually. Just because. Just to show off as much as possible. I do recommend, by the way, the stats you want to be prioritizing are Mastery. Mastery is number 1 after Verse, Mastery. And then after that, Haste, and then Crit is last. If you go the Lightning Bolt build, Crit is probably number 1. And that is the build that I have in my Icy Veins PvP guide. But this is a tricky one that was just brought to my attention. All right, what do we do? Tick, what do we do? I don't understand. So how do we do damage? Well, basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be spreading Flame Shock, and you want to spread Flame Shock on as many targets as you can. Basically, you want to use it almost on cooldown. I think the max is 6, right? Yeah, max number of targets is 6. And the reason why... Oh, we don't want that to happen. Maybe it's not that bad. But basically what you want to be doing is, what you're going to be doing is, in general, is Flame Shocking things on cooldown. And then you're going to, be casting using your Lava Surge as a priority as those chunkers get going. But what you also want to be doing is thinking about every time you have a Lava Burst proc, or anytime you're about to Lava Burst, you want to press Frost Shock. Because that, again, gives you that buff, that 20% buff. So now if I Lava Burst now, that's hitting for what, that hit for 16k. So if I don't do that, it hits for 13k. So, a little bit, obviously 3k is pretty big. So you always want to do that. And because I don't need to even cast Ice Fury, you just want to make sure you have that up. You might not, it is another global, granted, but it is probably worth it. So, okay, so what do I do, Tiqqle? Now that I know if I'm going to sustain damage, I keep Flame Shocks up. I will go ahead, I'll keep my Lava Surges spewing out, buffing them up as much as possible. I'll go ahead and, if I'm on the move, right, I'll use Ice Fury. Ice Fury, just so you know, doesn't do a lot of damage. It does dog poo-poo damage. But the Frost Shocks, especially flipping them back and forth with Lava Burst, do. So Frost Shock actually just did 30k damage. And now I'll Lava Burst, which gives me Master of the Elements, increased damage by 20%, right, to Frost. Now Frost Shock again, 30k. That's bigger than a freaking Lava Burst. That's disgusting. So that's what you want to be doing there. So the Frost Shocks allow you to be mobile and allow you to do that. Another tip is if you do get chased by those melee, remember, you have Root. You can use the Root. Roots them up. The other thing you can do is you can Earth Shock, and then after you Earth Shock, because you're going to be pressing Frost Shock so much anyway, you can Frost Shock them. That will also root them. So now you got Root from a totem. You got Root from Surge of Power, which is what this is, by the way, Surge of Power. After you Earth Shock and you Frost Shock, freezes them down. So let's go ahead and say, okay, Tiqqle, you've talked enough. Enough talking. Let's go ahead and see what type of damage we can do. So the burst, let's go ahead and get that rock and roll. I guess that's why that thing pops up. Okay, good. So basically, like I said, I don't need Maelstrom though. So let's pretend that I didn't have Maelstrom. You could get a lot of Maelstrom if you wanted to, but I recommend not. I recommend just going for it. So what is it? So basically what you want to be doing is you want to make sure, again, you have this buff. You want to get ready to go. Again, you could pre-cast Ice Fury, but you don't have to. You want to get ready to go, and then you want to go ahead and keep up that buff, and then you want to use Primordial Wave. Actually, you want to do Sky Fury, and then you want a Primordial Wave, and then you're going to start getting Lava Bursts. like crazy. So I'm going to Frost Shock, Lava Burst. Frost Shock, Lava Burst. Make sure Flame Shock's up. Frost Shock, Lava Burst, which is doing 25Ks over and over for the 4 times that it happens. And this is going to do 20K, 20K, chunk, 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 chunk. As well as the Frost Shocks are going to be doing chunkers between that. So you want to keep that kind of flipping back and forth, and that's what's going to do a lot of damage. So these higher end Lava Bursts with Sky Fury are doing up to 25K, which if you look at people's health, that's about 25% of their health. So if you get an overload proc of that, that's doing upwards of 40K, as you can see, upwards of 40K. So, and again, you don't need to have any Maelstrom. So let me just spend all my Maelstrom here. This is all I can spend. So again, what you want to do, I'll do it again. You want to go ahead, you want to just, I don't even need Lava Surge. You want to drop Sky Fury. I'm going to Frost Shock. I'm going to Lava, you want to Primordial, Lava Burst, Frost Shock, Lava Burst, Frost Shock, Lava Burst. These are doing 20K, 25K each. And you just kind of teeter-totter back between those 2 buttons. And it'll keep on giving you procs. And you'll keep on buffing them by a lot. And then there you go. So you can see at each of those burst windows, you can see this. I'll keep that thing going. You can see it was about, let's just go to the top here. The Lava Bursts were hitting for 20, and if they overloaded 25 and 20K. So that's 45K damage on press. And if it overloads, you're as happy as possible. So again, let's see what that looks like again. So I'll go ahead and I drop Sky Fury first before you Primordial. I Frost Shock, then you Primordial, and I'm gonna use a Trinket, Lava Burst, Earth Shock, or sorry, Frost Shock, Lava Burst, Frost Shock, Lava Burst, Frost Shock, and then we'll Lava Burst again. So that, again, those are some big Lava Bursts there. 30K Lava Burst with my Trinket on press. So that's just what you do, and you just can do that every 30 seconds, really, with. Because Sky Fury's on a 40-second cooldown. Primordial Wave's on a 45, but it gets reduced because every time you Lava Burst, it'll go down by 1 second. So you'll have that up. So pretty much every 40 seconds, you're cranking out Lava Bursts and cranking out Bursts. And what you end up seeing is that you can just crush it. I mean, your damage can be out of this world. So here you can see I was hitting for crits of upwards of 18K in this game. Overloads were hitting for 15K. I was against a DH, Survival, and Affliction. That's a real fun one. Another one here. Again, Lava Burst is cranking for 15 and 12s. So it really depends, but that is how you get those cranking. And the best part is you don't need any ramp. And to be honest, Earth Shocks are not hugely, like, they do okay damage. But if you look here, my Earth Shock is hitting for 12K. My Lava Burst is hitting for almost 150%. Like 50% more than that. It's kind of a joke. So Lava Burst is almost higher priority than Earth Shock. So what do I use Earth Shock for? Utility. I use it to root them. I use it to potentially spread Flame Shocks more for all the Surge of Power things. So that's what I would say. That's the build. Again, one more time would be, I'll just do it one more time. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to Frost Shock so I get the buff up. Sky Fury. I'm going to Primordial Wave, and then I got to just go back and forth. Press that Lava Burst, press your Frost Shock so you get the buff. And then that's just enough time for your Primordial Wave, buff to keep giving you procs. So that's what it's about, man. 30Ks, that is a beautiful thing, man. 30Ks with a 25K overload, that's a beautiful thing. So you get it done. Let me know what you think of the build. Again, shout out to Abstracting Agent on this. I wanted to share this with you as this is different than my Icy Veins build that I have out there right now, which is much more about setup and burst using Lightning Bolt. But this one I would say is more fun. And you don't need any ramp up. They can be charging you in the face and you can still blast them away. Also, you gotta be using the good old Fire Alley. You gotta use them, especially when you're going for burst. It's gonna make your Flame Shocks tick faster, more Lava Bursts cranking out there, so get it done. So with that being said, we'll see you on stream every day, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're doing some giveaways of heroic copies of Dragonflight on stream a bunch before launch. We'll see you there. If you have any questions, come by stream, sub, follow below. Now let's get it done, Shamans. See you later.